Donald Trump is getting laughed at. Hello, everybody. David Shuster reporting. Historians and diplomats around the world are skewering Donald Trump over the holidays. In case you were tuned out, Trump intensified his wild imperialistic ambitions.
President-elect Donald Trump is doubling down on talk of expanding U.S. territory, which has gotten quite the reaction around the world, as you might imagine. On Christmas Day, Trump posted about Greenland, Canada, and the Panama Canal, suggesting that the U.S. could take control of all three.
Yes, Donald Trump thinks the United States could take control of Greenland, Canada, and the Panama Canal. Canada, as most people know, is a sovereign nation that is not for sale. Greenland is an autonomous territory of the Kingdom of Denmark. Denmark says it is not for sale. And in the wake of Trump's remarks, Denmark, a member of the NATO alliance, recently boosted military defenses against the United States. And in Panama, while the United States did help build the canal more than 115 years ago, the U.S. signed a treaty nearly 50 years ago giving Panama sole ownership of the canal. Still, some Trump foreign policy advisors are encouraging Donald Trump's imperialistic rhetoric. Robert O'Brien, who served in the first Trump administration, says Greenland will become increasingly important in the coming years.
Greenland is a highway from the Arctic all the way to North America to the United States. It's strategically very important to the Arctic, which is going to be the critical battleground of the future, because as the climate gets warmer, the Arctic is going to be a pathway that maybe cuts down on the usage of the Panama Canal. And the Russians and Chinese are all over the Arctic. Now, the Kingdom of Denmark owns Greenland, and they've got an obligation to defend Greenland. And so President Trump said, if you don't defend Greenland, we'll buy it, and we'll defend it. But we're not going to defend it for free and let and not develop Greenland and not extract the minerals and oil and resources of Greenland. And while we defend it, Denmark gets rich, and the King of Denmark, becomes even wealthier.
It is true that thanks to global warming, the melting Arctic ice will open up new shipping routes through Greenland. Plus, some scientists believe that Greenland sits on top of a lot of valuable oil and minerals. However, Greenland's prime minister says the island will never be for sale. And Denmark recently announced a new defense package to boost security of the Arctic island. Still, according to Trump's team, Denmark needs to do more.
Denmark is now on the front lines of the war against Russia and China. They're like the Baltic states, they're like Poland, because of their vast territory in Greenland. And so they've got to defend Greenland. And if they can't defend it, we're going to have to, and we're not going to do it for free. So the Danes can either put the frigate that's necessary there, they can put the air wings, they can put the missiles in Greenland, and they can put the infantry there that they need to defend the country, just like the Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia are doing in Eastern Europe. Or they can pay us to do it, and we'll do it, but they can cover the cost of the defense. Or if they don't want to do either of those things, they can let us buy Greenland from them. And Greenland can become part of Alaska. I mean, the native people in Greenland are very closely related to the people of Alaska.
Not exactly. Some of the indigenous people in Alaska are related to some of the indigenous people of Greenland, if you want to go back far enough. But none of those tribes are calling for Alaska to take over Greenland. Still, the idea that the United States might grab Greenland and exploit its natural resources has prompted salivating across MAGA world. From the hosts on Fox News to the armchair conservatives posting on X, it seems all of MAGA is enthralled with the idea of conquering more land and expanding the United States. And even if Donald Trump is just jabbing at Denmark, Panama, and Canada for negotiation purposes, Trump supporters think it's awesome. By contrast, historians are laughing at Trump.
In some ways, it's distraction. The more we talk about Greenland, the more we talk about Canada and Governor Trudeau, and the more we talk about taking back the Panama Canal, the less we're talking about Syria or Gaza or these other hotspots that require significant attention and real diplomacy rather than this kind of circus act. But I also think that it speaks to this signal shift in the global order.
Historians point out that for decades, the global order has been defined by multilateralism. The idea has been that nations cooperate with each other to promote a peaceful world. Relatedly, leaders largely have adhered to certain diplomatic expectations and protocols, but not Donald Trump.
Trump, by just by just talking about taking the canal or taking Greenland or turning Canada into the 51st state is really hearkening back to a world where the doctrine of conquest still reigned. Where the presumption wasn't cooperation, the presumption was rivalry, competition, and domination, in which smaller nations suffer what they must and bigger nations do what they will. And I think that, this is classic. This is classic Trump.
And Trump's classic bullying style is music to the ears of many of his supporters. On social media, there's now a steady flow of MAGA-created maps showing the United States expanding and owning territory from the Arctic Circle down to Panama. But outside of the Trump team and his diehard MAGA faithful, the maps and the expansionist rhetoric are being mocked and ridiculed. Diplomats, even in foreign governments that support Donald Trump, acknowledge there is no way the greater United States is going to fill out from Greenland down to Panama. By all accounts, this is a Trump and MAGA fantasy that will never become reality. But Donald Trump and his followers have never trafficked in reality on international issues or even domestic ones. So don't expect to see Trump's language or imperialistic ambitions change. For Donald Trump, bigger is always better. I know the psychologists out there are probably having a field day connecting Trump's imperialist plans with his alleged personal shortcomings. In her book, adult film star Stormy Daniels called Trump smaller than average. So maybe Trump is trying to overcompensate for his own physical insecurities or realities. Well, that analysis is a video for another day. On this day, just know this. Donald Trump's imperialist plans are getting laughed at. And as long as Donald Trump keeps going, the ridicule will continue. By the way, Trump voters are getting shattered as the economic reality of Donald Trump's impact on them is becoming clear.
And she goes, I didn't know that Donald Trump wanted to take away the Affordable Care Act. I thought he was just going to get rid of Obamacare, and I was all for that. And I paused because I wasn't sure if she was joking or not. And then I say, those are the same thing. They're one and the same. And she goes, well, I didn't know that. And now I don't know if I'm going to have insurance for my kids or for myself.
Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.